Welcome one, welcome all to ESPN Esports. Thanks for joining us here on Twitch and on YouTube. We are live. We're going to have a fun conversation with someone I greatly admire in the space of esports. We've always had these like professional emails back and forth. We've always had these like, hello, it's really good to connect with you. Would you be interested in this? Or can I speak with you about this? But now it'll be good to chop it up live and talk about us and just be friends as opposed to business associates. We have a lot of great things to talk about. The Women of eRena 3 event is happening tomorrow on this channel, Twitch/ESPN Esports, 5:30 p.m. Eastern start, right here. Hashtag We Rock. We got some great captains, including my guest, Ashley MiDNiTE, joining us, the director of content for the Minnesota Rokkr. What's up, pal? How you doing?
Good. How are you? It's good to finally, like you said, go out of the email realm and just actually get into a face-to-face conversation. Do you remember the time it was at Mall of America, like under a year ago? You were hosting like an NHL. You were hosting an event there, and I was there, and you interviewed me there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But this feels like more of like an actual like conversation setting. So I'm really excited to sit down and talk to you about this and just everything. I think I even invited you to be on our podcast tomorrow.
Let's go. Yes.
Best friends over the next couple
Exactly. And I'm super pumped. Yeah, that was a Minnesota Wild event, and that was like even before the CDL had launched.
Yes.
So it was almost like we're drumming up interest. And actually, that's a great place to start. I mean, we have a lot of places to go with this conversation, but like, can we just talk about the Minnesota Rokkr and what that team has been able to accomplish in their local market this year? Like, I have said this a lot on ESPN Esports, that if there's one team to look at in terms of how they've been able to activate their local market, it's the Rokkr. Like, you got to look at them and be like, look at these watch parties they're doing. Even when the pandemic hit, look at the virtual watch parties. They were literally bringing people together for events, even if they weren't happening in Minnesota. Like, how were you guys able to activate the Minnesotans like that?
Oh, man, first of all, Minnesotans are always very passionate about their sports teams, or in this case, like an esports team. And honestly, when I came on to work for Minnesota Rokkr just over a year ago, I wasn't like, we were starting fresh, right? Had no like who I was joining here staff wise, like the ownership all the way up to the Wilf family who owns the Minnesota Vikings as well as minority owner Gary Vee. Like, they'd never tried esports before, so this was their first time. And so knowing that they're the new kids on the block, like, how do we do this? How do we get esports, to be well known in Minnesota and hit that touch point for the fans? And I think one of the things that really helped with that is having that first event. So the launch weekend here that we had in January at the Armory in Minneapolis, I think that went a long way with just being able to get that awareness out there, right? Like, I talked to so many fans still on Twitter, even in the Discord. They come in my Twitch chat while I'm streaming. They're like, yo, I saw you at launch weekend. Like, it's now like that universal like thing that kind of happened for all of us. And there's so many people in this local regional market here in Minnesota where they haven't had like a Call of Duty event or esports event on a large scale to really like go to and have a good time. It's just kind of like, oh, I always have to go to the coast or find, do a huge road trip or fly somewhere to go. So as far as like how we've been able to do it, it's having that big event really helped because it helped create that touch point. But it's just, for me, obviously I'm a content focused person, being the director of content. It's being able to create content that helps Minnesotans relate. Like our new roster last year that we brought in for Call of Duty, had them trying to say Minnesota cities, or we did videos where, hey, we'd take them to Minnehaha Falls. We took them to try Juicy Lucy's. Like, it's that universal like thing that all Minnesotans know. And even if you aren't from Minnesota, you still think, oh, that's really cool. Like, they're doing Minnesota stuff because they're the Minnesota Rokkr. It's a pretty simple concept. But even me, like, knowing those things and knowing like, yes, this is the recipe for like becoming well-known and establishing yourself, I still am surprised genuinely at the fan reception and reaction. I remember driving up to the very first in-person watch party before the pandemic ever happened, of course. Driving up to Billy's on Grand in St. Paul, just like a bar. We'd opened it up early. It was like 9 a.m. or something like that, 9 or 10 a.m., ready to watch the Rokkr match. And I pulled up. I couldn't find a parking spot. And I was like, but the bar's not even open, so it's definitely our people. And I'm just shocked at how many people came out to the first one. And it's been an awesome experience to watch it literally go from zero to where we are now and where we want to go in the future.
This was like a perfect gig for you, right? Like content creation. You're one of the stalwarts in esports in the COD bubble. You've been creating COD content for a decade with Optic, and then this opportunity comes up, and it's in Minnesota. Like, how fast did you jump at the chance to join the Rokkr in the first place?
Immediately, I was so shocked. I couldn't believe it because I was really in a transitional point in my life anyway. You know, I mean, you all saw what happened with Optic down in Texas and just
Yeah.
how all that played out. So I came back home to Minnesota, you know, knowing like, okay, like what does this mean? You know, IGC had purchased Optic, and I was like, I don't know if like I don't think I want to keep going down that road. I didn't know what was next. So I was like, what do I do, man? Like, what should I do? And then a month after moving back from Minnesota, I'm actually live streaming. I was streaming on my Twitch, and people in my chat started going, "Oh my God, MiDNiTE, you got to look at Twitter. Look at what Darren Rovell just put out." And Darren Rovell just tweeted out that Gary V and the Wilf family, who owns Minnesota Vikings, just purchased a Call of Duty League slot in Minnesota. Now, obviously, even if it hadn't been Call of Duty, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like esports, like let's go. I would love to help bring esports to Minnesota. But the fact that it was Call of Duty, I just was like, man, it's just weird how life works out sometimes, right? Like, and two, like it's not even just that it appeased me and kind of where I saw myself going in the future, but also like truly, like I said, you know, the ownership coming in here, new kids on the block in terms of esports, but has a lot of great, obviously, infrastructure and experience and a ton of other things, traditional sports and other properties that they own. They have the know-how. They just didn't know how to apply it to esports. So it was just really a really cool, like, just was supposed to happen that way, I guess. I don't know.
Look back at the season. I mean, it was a crazy season for every team, right? I mean, obviously nobody would have predicted the pandemic and then the league going online. And I'm not talking results. I'd love to hear from your point of view as a content creator. Like, what happened? Take me through like the content process for the Rokkr when you were doing live events. You have all these plans, you have all these ideas, going to live events with the team, etc. And then you can't do that anymore. And you know, the league changes entirely. How did you guys pivot, and what were the plans made once the league went entirely online?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and say, yeah, the first season went perfect across the board for everything, because there were obviously massive just life changes, world changes. You know, a global pandemic isn't something that any of us could have ever predicted for the first year of the Call of Duty League. So when it started happening, it was obviously uncharted territory. Everyone, when it was starting, it was like, man, what do we like do? Everyone's going into lockdown. Like, how do we do this now? Luckily, I'm so thankful that I do work in esports, and that as even though it's not preferred, you'd always want to like play on LAN with the best connection, best environment possible, the most competitive environment. We can still function online, right? We're playing video games. Like, a lot of the content that we did went from, okay, guys, everyone like come in real life to the HQ and let's record some stuff, to, hey, like let's all get online and like have you guys drop in Warzone together and just kind of make content around there. It did not stop the wheel at all. It definitely changed a lot of like the staffing like processes and how we work through our day to day here at the team. Obviously, going from just being able to pop over in a meeting room to discuss some stuff, now we're like syncing a lot more on phone calls and just making sure we're all on the same page. As far as content goes, like just creating processes within you know, the remote space with Dropbox and project management software, just making sure that we establish those things. But yeah, on the less boring side, I think it's definitely about making sure that there's still that connectivity there. Like, we're still playing with our players and doing stuff. For instance, tonight, I mean, obviously we could talk about the tournament stream we're doing tomorrow, but tonight we're doing a really cool stream on the version 1 Twitch where we're playing Among Us with a bunch of our players and coaches from the team. So we're still got the family vibe going on. We're still doing stuff together. It's just it's far apart. We're doing what we can under the circumstances. I think that's a lot of people can relate to that right now.
I feel like Attach would be really good at Among Us. I
hope
feel like he'd
not.
be a really like a solid player that would just dupe everyone. I feel like he's got that in him.
I think he does. He's kind of slick. I think Priest is slick as well. I'm actually
You think so?
Yeah, I'm going to be playing in the group tonight as well. We've actually got some crazy stuff on the line. So if you're an imposter and you win, you get gifted 25 subs to your Twitch.
Ooh, okay.
If you're a crewmate and you win, you get gifted 5. So there's like a little bit on the line. It's all for fun, obviously, but yeah, we're trying to make it fun. I've been watching some film. I've been watching Attach play Among Us and trying to see what his tells are, what does he usually say, up. I mean, yeah, I've been streaming it too, so he could look at mine. I don't know. It's all about how serious you are or not, but yeah, I think he'll be really good. It'll create some entertaining content and probably some internal rivalries here, which would be cool.
Well, I hope you win. I hope Attach loses, and I hope that you win, and I hope you get all the gifted subs and just win in general. I'm on Team MiDNiTE.
Yeah, I want Attach to win if he's imposter with me. Let's go, Attach.
Fair point. Fair play. So speaking of events, Women of eRena 3 is happening tomorrow on our Twitch account /ESPN Esports. This is part of a series. The Rokkr are involved for the first time hosting the event. The hashtag is WeRock. It's going to start at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. And you are one of the captains, and other captains as part of the tournament include Ariel Powers of the Washington Mystics of the WNBA. We got EMZ from Cloud9, Katie Bedford from Optic Gaming Los Angeles, Smixy, Ava from Gen G, Holly Live, and a bunch more. It's hosted by Jess Brohard and Lottie Van Prague of CDL. So this is very exciting. We're seeing a lot of these events, particularly from eFuse, happening. We have hosted them on ESPN Esports. You've been involved with many. How excited are you that this is happening and really continuing to happen in the esports and gaming space?
I couldn't be more happy, honestly. I think it's so awesome. When I got invited to the first, Women of the eRena tournament that was on this channel, I was just blown away at, the fact that eFuse is stepping up and wanting to do this for the female gaming community, and also just, you guys obviously for helping amplify that. And I'm truly excited to be involved. Once I played it, I was like, wow, that was like really good. I kind of went back to the Rokkr folks and I was like, hey, like, they did like a really good job. It's obviously popular, right? Like, why don't we maybe get involved with it? And so I think big shout out to Jess, not the person casting it. Also shout out to Jess though, but Jess from the Minnesota Rokkr team here on the staff. She's done a ton of work as far as helping put this together. Rebecca as well. They've done a ton of work getting this thing going and making it official. Because for me, it's so important for us to. I mean, I think we'll be the first CDL team like involved in something like this, right? Like, it's super important for women and everyone really to know that the inclusion is out there, and it's a good vibe.
You've been doing content, you've been involved in gaming for over a decade now, right? So you have seen the evolution of how women are treated in this space. 2020 has been a big year for reckoning, for conversation, for advancement, right? What have you seen from your perch? Because we need to hear more experiences from people that have experienced this, particularly like yourself, that have experienced this for many, many years and know what it was like in yesteryear in order for us to improve. So what has 2020 been like for you, and seeing all of these conversations happening, and are we on the right track?
I think we are. I think events like this kind of, help embolden that, help put more of a foundation to what we're trying to do, like really help having that launch pad to have opportunities like this for people that might not have otherwise had them, right? If you're I remember, I know you asked me about 2020, but I remember 10 years ago in 2010, I just got onto Optic and I was starting to get well known, but even as I got more well known and even before, like, I was treated really like strangely online. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of people have had weird experiences with the anonymity that the internet offers, but especially when you're a female and somebody can just say whatever they want to you, you hear some crazy stuff, right? And it's gotten a little bit better over the years as you go. I've seen, more females get interested in gaming, start gaming, especially competitively gaming. I think that's so awesome. You have, great representation. If you look at the captains that are involved in this, some of them are from, pretty well established orgs who recognize that it's important to have these figures on their team, because it really helps for that representation and helps, kind of be like a welcoming and warm figure for people who, it's a male dominated industry, but it doesn't necessarily have to always be like that. And so for 2020, when I think about just everything that's kind of happened in this year and the direction that we're all going together, I view opportunities like this as really positive. can't hurt anybody to have more variety with what we're all doing here. And you're seeing it happen with esports a ton over time. You've seen all these different types of tournaments that are happening, events that are happening. It's all based in entertainment and competition, and that's like the bottom line of what we love about esports, right? So including as many people as possible in that is so important to me.
Where are we, do you think, in the transition where this becomes the norm, right? Like that's where we need to be, right? Where this conversation about gender no longer happens. It is merely accepted that human beings are all human beings and we're all treated equally in this space and there's no judgments or there's no treatment differently. Where do you think we are in that?
Hopefully tomorrow. I mean, no, that's unrealistic, but I think we're getting there, right? It's hard to say, yeah, by like 2022, it's all going to be gravy. I think it's something that happens slowly over time. And then eventually you kind of hit that point where, it's less of a big deal. You've seen this
Right.
happen in a ton of other sports, or even like, I know you're a big fan of the UFC. I follow it
Mm-hmm.
quite closely. I remember when Ronda Rousey came on the scene and started women's MMA. You had, Dana White before then saying, we'll never have like a women's, weight class or anything like that. And now they do. And that's even more of like a segregated sport because you obviously cannot have, male and females fighting each other. But with gaming and esports, I don't think there's any correlation or any research that's been done that a woman cannot be, as good as a man at a game on a professional level. And there is that possibility for it to mix in together. So I think the goal is that, the goal is like, yes, keep doing these female only tournaments, keep having female only teams because it offers that great representation. But where are we going with that? We're eventually going to the point where we're going to be able to mix those two things where, if there is a top top pro female player, the males are like, dude, that's the best option. It doesn't matter that she's
Mm-hmm.
a woman or not. Like she's the best option and we should pick her up. And I'm hoping that's the goal. I'm hoping that's like tomorrow. I mean, I say this Ronda Rousey example a lot. You saw what she did. I think there are a ton of pro level female gamers out there, streamers, everything really starting to hit that upper echelon of success. But we haven't yet seen that girl come along who's young, ridiculously skilled, and gets on a team purely based off her skill level. I think that person is going to be the next kind of Ronda Rousey of esports, and I'm excited to see that happen. And I hope she's on my team because that would be dope.
To your point about the UFC, actually, Ronda Rousey and also Amanda Nunes are two examples of fighters that were in the pound for pound conversation with men.
Right.
And on many people's lists were number one at some point in time. And that was completely acceptable. Like there was no sort of prejudice. There was nothing to that sort. It was, no, Amanda Nunes right now is the best fighter on earth. Look at her resume. Look at the resume of a human being that is dominating their division, period. Right? And so that's a great example, like you said, of a realm where we are just seeing complete meritocracy and equality and showing results based on what has happened in the actions that these fighters are displaying. So that's a great example. So with events like this, I mean, I'll point to, I know that we are, talking a lot about Call of Duty here. Obviously, this is a Warzone tournament that's happening. Let me just shine a light on Valorant for just a quick second, because we are seeing a whole ton of female teams, whether it's Dignitas, Gen G now looking for a female team, Cloud9, White are great examples of teams that are not only competing in all women tournaments, but also competing in general Valorant tournaments. First Strike being a great example, right? Like, how inspiring is this? How great is this for the scene and for the future of esports as a whole?
I think it's amazing. It's exactly what we just kind of talked about. Like, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not just going to have like, okay, there's a girl, she's really good, she shows up, boom, boom. Like, as much as I love to say that that's what's going to happen, like, there needs to be the light shown on these female figures, players, personalities in the scene to really get to that point where it's like, oh yeah, like she's the best player. Like, we should definitely pick her up. I think it offers, a certain bit of representation, right? Because when I was younger, I've been gaming since I was 5. When I was younger, I didn't even know that other girls gamed, and I felt like I would hide it from my friends. Like they didn't know I was going home after school and playing GTA San Andreas for 6 hours like a psychopath. Like it was this thing where it just was like, oh yeah, like I'm a gamer. And even like I feel like the gamer like stereotype has even kind of gotten less and less over time. Like so many like pro athletes. I mean, you have them in this tournament. Like so many rappers, pro athletes like are gamers. And so it's becoming less of a stigmatized thing. And I think when you see all female like teams or even leagues or events like we're holding here tomorrow, I think it's so important to just like let those other females in the community know, or even like becoming that entertainment factor as well. Like sometimes it's just more entertaining as well to kind of see this new light shown.
The idea, like, that's a really good point you made there about like when any gamer gets inspired to game or play or try and make this into a career, right? Like, what should we be doing? Like, what kind of conversations should we be having as people that want to inspire, want to lead future powerful, strong women in this space, to inspire them to, make sure that they chase their dreams and not be dissuaded by anything they may have seen online or read?
Yeah, no, this is a really good question, because for me, and I didn't even really realize this until lately, but for me, the number one most inspiring thing, in my opinion, is watching somebody be themselves and find success, whatever that is. If you're good at a game, you're good at streaming, you're good at archery, you're good at whatever you're good at. Being yourself, and just being like, I guess, unashamed, not being like me when I was younger, like, oh, I don't want to tell anybody like I'm playing games. They're gonna think like, why isn't she like, I don't know, watching Bring It On, or I don't know, whatever they would expect me to do. But I think people being themselves and embracing that's what really attracts other people to want to like watch or be a part of your stream or whatever it is that you're doing. Because especially with how prevalent the internet has become in my lifetime, like you can find other people like you. And so if you see somebody that you even like a little bit identify with, or you say, oh yeah, like that's really cool, this guy's really into like this type of music or paintball or whatever that common ground is, that's what really helps give people the comfortability to be themselves and do what they want to do. So I think whenever I see somebody else just being themselves and succeeding at that and succeeding at something, that doesn't make me say, oh, I need to copy what that person's doing and try to replicate it. It makes me say, okay, here's the parts about myself that I think could fit into that same strategy. And really, it's super inspiring to me to just see people be themselves, and it makes me feel more open to be myself as well.
Let's talk about, like, this is not a gender specific question. Certainly you could make the argument, and there are plenty of examples of women getting a lot of toxic comments, right? But for anybody, receiving a toxic comment or receiving a negative comment or just seeing toxicity online can affect them, right? Like, especially if you're not expecting it, or if it comes in droves, whatever the case may be. What advice do you have for content creators, for people that are experiencing that? Maybe they see something negative online, whether it's directed at them or not. Maybe they're getting depressed reading comments online. What is your advice on how to handle that and deal with that and turn that around into a positive energy?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I mean, trust me, I have seen and heard it all. Okay. I came up through the Modern Warfare 2 lobbies in 2010. I've been
Oh boy.
called everything. I've had all of the jokes made. I've had threats made to get, like, it is not a fun time all the time. Just even being any type of figure, or even just a person on the internet. Like, let's just say you're scrolling Twitter and you just see like trash comments or just people being mean to other people, or people like, you say your opinion and then someone's like, bah, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that weird energy is really hard to kind of deal with. And what I found really helped me, and I don't want this to sound negative, as though I don't like love any support that I've gotten over the years, because I definitely do. And I've definitely found ways to like accept and like have that help shape like my content and who I am and what I want to do here with my slice of the internet. But it's not letting the bad comments bother you, and also not letting the good comments inflate your ego too much. Because if I read a comment that's like, yo, you're like really beautiful, it's so funny, it's like, I don't know you and you don't even really know me, so what are you basing that off of? I'm not gonna like put a lot of stock into that, right? And so same thing when someone's like, oh, you're ugly and terrible and really not funny at all. I don't what is he basing that? I don't even know what they're basing that off of. So I try to really only look at the input from, people that I really care about, or even people that I know in my community, where I'm like, oh yeah, like there's rapport with this person. I kind of know where they're coming from a little bit more. I look more to the feedback from people that I care about in my life, close friends. Like if they were to say like, yo, your stream was trash today, or I don't know, I'd be like, maybe like let's talk about that in a different way. But taking that feedback from people that really matter is a lot more helpful. So truthfully, just especially if it's like random internet comments, I try to not put any stock in them, whether they're positive or negative, because they don't really like actually know me.
Only one in the chat says, stop reading the comments and focus on your craft. That's a lot more difficult. That's easier said than done. I think that any content creator can agree.
It's so hard to not read comments. And especially like, here's another thing too, is like, don't put so much stock in your analytics. Like if you're posting on Instagram and you're like, oh man, like this photo banged, I got so many likes, like I got so many new followers, like it's just that instant like dopamine hit. And trust me, I've been on Twitter since 2010. I've definitely put out like funny tweets and been like, yeah, people liked what I said. That's awesome. But not even caring about that is super helpful as well, because that's just a roller coaster you do not want to be on, of the analytics train of, oh, I got so many viewers today and that was so awesome. And it was like, now it's always going to be like this, when it's not. It's all fluid, right? So it's not putting too much of your emotional like stock in things that truthfully at the end of the day like don't matter, as far as like a mean comment on your feed, or oh well, this post didn't get as many likes as the last one, so they must not like me anymore. Like it's got to be less about that and more about what you're creating.
As it pertains to ensuring equality and safe spaces in gaming for everyone, for women, for people of all races, all religions, colors, etc., what could we be doing better? And I'm asking from the perspective of making sure we are ensuring gender equality and making sure that we have a safe space for all. What could we be doing better in your opinion?
I think it's just about like being accepting of others, even if they're different, right? Like if there's like for instance, if there is somebody who's out here like, man, why are they doing a women's tournament? Blah, it's so dumb. Like maybe they should do this instead. Like maybe just, pay attention to what you love instead of, feeling negative towards certain things. I think that's really important, is just gravitating towards what you really like, and being, accepting that other people might not like the exact same things as you. There are people who will view different types of tournaments or things that happen, whereas like, oh, they're like, oh yeah, that's cool, it's not really my thing. Or they're like, oh, that's really cool, like I really want to watch it. I think that it's all about just doing your thing. And like, it kind of goes back to this, like being genuine so that others around you can be genuine as well. Like if you're consuming, great genuine content that you love, instead of trying to have this weird negative energy towards things you really don't like, it offers up more space for people who like those other things to come in. And so it's really just all about like being accepting and understanding that there's a niche for everything on the internet, right? That everyone can find enjoyment, or find their crowd, find their tribe, I guess, eventually on the internet, with so many different, even if you look just in the esports bubble, there's so many different types of games and types of streamers and types of competitions that happen, that I think it's great that there's a huge variety. And so I just think what we could do to offer more inclusivity to people who might feel like, maybe they're a bit outcasted from the esports community, or just in their daily life, like give them the space to create and be themselves and be cool with it.
Brown TJ has a great point. Like, this is great advice, not just for esports, but any career in general. And Tish saying, find your tribe. That's a great piece of advice for anyone, right? Find your tribe. There are people out there. It's never been easier to find them, right? Like, we are connected worldwide. It's never easier to find your tribe. And many people will enjoy tomorrow's event, the Women of eRena 3, Thursday, October 29th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern start, right here at twitch.tv/ESPN Esports. You are one of the captains. Warzone event. You've done one or two. You've seen some of these faces before. So what's the key to victory? How are you going to smash and absolutely demolish your competition such that they never play in another Warzone tournament again?
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you here. I've been playing too much Among Us lately to be good at Warzone. Oh. I am not going to be.
Ooh, the swerve.
I'm not going to be getting 40 kills. Like, I'm not in my prime of Call of Duty. Let's say that, okay? And so when I selected my team, I did so very carefully. I was a captain, so I could choose anyone I want. Literally, like, I could probably get anyone to play with me if I want. I would sound like a jerk, but I could just be like, yo, you want to be on my team? Yes. I got my two good friends, a Sivers and Amanda the Jedi, and I also recruited Taylor, and each one of them has, like, a specialty, right? Jedi, great vibes. So I have good vibes. She's my good friend. I'm like, okay, we need the vibes there. The vibes are going to be there. If we have that, we're good. A Sivers, great vibes, but also nasty at BR games. Like, she's a great streamer. She's super talented. And then Taylor as well. Taylor Reggie TV is her name, and she's nasty at COD. She streams a lot. She's a cool creator. I was like, yo, she will fit onto this squad perfectly because she's actually like really good at the game. So I think I got 4th place in the last Women of the Arena tournament I played in, and that was like off of not that much practice, hardly at all. But now tomorrow, I mean, honestly, I think they switched the map to the night mode, right? So it's quads night mode. My name is MiDNiTE. That's an advantage. I have the best vibes. And, you know, Amanda the Jedi is not really very good. No offense to her. She's here for the vibes. We're going to let her host the lobby and put us into whatever her skill-based matchmaking gets us, and we'll just see what happens. That's our strategy. That's, I mean, and so as far as like, oh, am I going to win? Maybe I won't win my lion's share of the $10,000, okay? But what I will win is the vibes competition because we're going to have the best vibes. I hope y'all spectate us the whole time because we're going to be giggling and getting kills. It's going to be sick. That's my strat.
That is a very well thought out strat. Can I just say, like, if I was in your shoes and I thought of that S tier strat, I'd be the one that'd be like, oh, my team won and I'm here too. Let's go. And I'm just like, yeah, take that. And I got like 0, not that you will, I probably would 0 kills. I'm just like standing over a bunch of bodies. And I'm like, yeah, that's right.
There was 2 approaches I thought about taking. It was the one I took. And then I was like, okay, I bet I could get like some really good people on my team and just like hope that I show up enough that day to get us the win. But Arda, I like to fall asleep at night. And if I was the reason that my team didn't win, my ego is way too big. I could not handle that. So I had to go with the vibes direction. And so it'll be a good time. We're here to have a good time. I'm excited about the format. I think it's going to be like 3 hours time to like do a kill race. You take your top 3 games that's scored per your kill and placements and all that. And so, I mean, we have some time tomorrow to have some good vibes games, but maybe we'll get some high kill games in there too. And maybe, I mean, I did get 4th in these same circumstances, got 4th in the last one. If I crack into the top 3, that's a dub for me. So I'm excited.
So it's going to be on Thursday, as we mentioned, October 29th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern start. Where can people watch your point of view?
My POV will be on twitch.tv / MiDNiTE is my Twitch. I stream over all the time. I'll be playing Among Us tonight. I did play Warzone yesterday to get a little warmed up, get the vibe. We practiced our vibes yesterday. They feel good. We did have some good games yesterday, if I'm honest. I mean, some of these other captains and teams in the competition are nutty, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like, we weren't dropping their numbers, but we were having a good time. So I'm stoked. That's where my POV will be, and then obviously the casted stream will be here, which I'm really excited to go back. I'll probably rewatch it after to just see how the whole thing went.
Yeah, so definitely watch us here, twitch.tv / ESPN Esports. Have a second screen experience. Throw up MiDNiTE stream as well, just to see how they're doing as we're going along. The hashtag is WeRock, ROKK. Use that on social media as you're posting throughout the tournament. Again, it starts at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Some of the other captains, along with MiDNiTE, include Holly Live, Ava of Gen G, Katie Bedford of Optic Gaming LA, EMZ of Cloud9, and many, many more. You got Jess Brohard and Lottie Von Prague, who are your hosts for the event. And this is the 3rd of 4th, and the Minnesota Rokkr getting involved officially here. And it's going to be a wild one. It's going to be a lot of fun. So twitch.tv / ESPN Esports on Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. MiDNiTE, you are the best. Thanks for joining us here live. Anything else to say to your droves of fans on what kind of content to expect as we gear up to Season 2 of CDL? And any Rokkr fans out there, what do you have to say to them?
No, I mean, just thank you so much for tuning into this. I really appreciate you guys having me on for the interview, and it was great to chop it up with you. I'm really excited for the future. Call of Duty Cold War comes out in under 3 weeks, or just under 3 weeks. So really stoked about that. We have a brand new roster on Rokkr, and so really just excited to make content around those guys, see how they play, see how the season really starts to ramp up, and we have a lot of cool stuff coming for fans to watch and participate in. So just really excited in general for the future.
Thank you, MiDNiTE. Thank you, everybody, for watching us here live. Good vibes and acts of kindness, y'all. We'll catch you next time.